Welcome to the first edition of Daddy Porter's Beer Review. I'm here with my friend Kirk Richardson. He has made this wonderful book, Craft Beer Country, where he travels the country, basically, visiting breweries and telling stories. So, hey, Kirk, how you doing?
Doing great, Greg. Doing great.
And who are you there with? Who is that?
I'm here with Klint Sheets, who is featured in Chapter 15 in the book, Three Sheets Breweries. He is the beer brewing lawman and lederhosen. I don't think he's wearing his lederhosen today, but he's got a kilt on. I don't know. You want to show off your kilt, Klint?
Please do.
Show the kilt.
See if we can get it.
Yeah. That's about as much as we'll show.
Is that normal attire for work?
Oh, yeah. Almost a daily thing.
Klint's actually, not only does he brew, but he's a police officer in Albany, Oregon, and he's also competing in the Highland Games, some kind of Highland Games or something here coming up, doing a hammer toss and...
That's awesome.
Caber toss, hammer toss. It's just like farm boy Olympics, kind of.
Yeah.
So behind you guys is your brewery?
Yes, it's our tap room.
And how long have you guys been around?
The brewery's been going since 2012. Then we finally just decided to open up a public venue. So we've had this place open for about a year.
Yeah, and in this book we talk about, in this chapter 15, I believe it is, right? We talk about how you met Kurt. You guys want to do that a little bit? You want to tell us a little bit? Not too much because we can't do the book.
Yeah, sure. Actually, what happened was I was at a local, I was over at a local tap room, and they had a beer up on the menu called Betty's Bavarian Hefeweizen. And, I don't drink a whole lot of Hefeweizens, but I decided that was a perfect day for it, so I had it. It was fantastic. And so I asked the tap room owner, who made this? I've never heard of these guys. And he said, well, it's a little brewery that operates out of its garage in Albany. And I said, well, I got to meet this guy. And one thing led to another. I connected with him, went up there, showed up, and basically the garage door swung open, and we did a tour in his little nano brewery in there, and then sat out back and sampled his beers. So that's how we met. A little bit later on, he had a Oktoberfest, and that's where the lederhosen comes from, because when I showed up for his Oktoberfest, he probably can't see it, but he's pretty buff. This guy was a bodybuilder too at one point. So he shows up in his lederhosen, and there's a big party going on, and had all his beers on tap, and we just had a great time. Ultimately, he ended up starting the brewery and opening a brew pub down here, and that's where we're at right now.
I want to make sure everybody knows that we are talking about Albany, Oregon, not Albany, New York, right?
Or Albany, Georgia. There's Albany, California.
Right.
I think there's Albany everywhere, but this is Albany, Oregon. Yeah,
Albany, right. Oregon, and where is that compared to Portland?
We're about an hour south of Portland, and I'm going to say 15 minutes, just 15 minutes away from Oregon State University in Corvallis, and about 45 minutes north of Eugene, where the Oregon Ducks play. So
that's kind of a centralized location. So what are you drinking, Kirk?
I am drinking Klint's Porter here. This is his Old Ace Porter. You knew I was going to have this, Greg. I mean,
you can't come on my show without.
He makes a. And this is actually named after Klint's lab. His lab, which was what, 100-pound lap dog or something like that. Big 130-pound lap dog. So.
It's can I ask you? I'm sorry, go Kirk. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying it's excellent. Still holding a nice head there. I don't know if you can see that, but wrote about it in the book.
Can I ask Klint a question?
Yeah.
Klint, are you having a problem being a brewer? Are you having a problem naming your beers?
No, most of the beers come from like something with our family. Like the porter was my running buddy for a long time. Stuff like our Green Beret IPA was after my wife's father, who was a Green Beret for 25 out of 30 years. So just we don't have any shortage of names.
So real quick, so are you? So you work full time and you do the brew pub?
Yes.
He's crazy. Yeah.
So is there any? So we're going to do this. We're doing this full out to retirement, or is there any plans for you to maybe just move to the brewery?
This was actually something that I thought was going to take longer to kick off. So this was a retirement plan that took off about 10 years too early. So now I work 2 jobs and I don't sleep anymore.
You know what that means? In my opinion, that means your beer's good. Your beer's better than you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it seems like it's pretty popular.
No, it's great. It's great. Well, it's really nice to meet you. And I'm glad that Kirk was able to arrange all this so we could talk about his book, which I'm sure you read, and I know you're a part of it, so it's fun. So Kirk, if you don't mind, I want to segue back to you a little bit here to talk about this book. Thanks, Cliff. So where does it? I saw that you went to school for journalism, so obviously your passion is to write.
Oh yeah.
So where did this idea come from, and how long has it been in the making?
Well, I've been a food and beverage writer for a number of years, and I'd written several beer-related articles up here in Oregon. And as you know, being a beer connoisseur yourself, there's some great breweries here in Oregon. So I'd already interviewed breweries like Rogue, which I'm sure you've heard of, and Deschutes, and Ninkasi. And I just had a passion for it. A lot of folks said, you really need to take this to a new level. You really seem to like beer, so why don't you write a beer book at some point? And I jumped into it about 3 years ago, and actually a little more than 3 years ago now. Jumped into it actually flew to Maui, Hawaii. I know that sounds like it sucks. That's terrible. And went to Maui, Hawaii, and interviewed those folks, Garrett Marrero at Maui Brewing on the site of Mount Haleakala. And I know you read that chapter, Greg. So it just kind of snowballed from there. I had the Oregon breweries, and I went down to California and did a lot of interviews down there. Flew up to Alaska and interviewed Alaskan. In all, I went to there's 70 breweries in the book, but I went to a lot more than that. I didn't feature everybody that I visited. Not all beers, as we both know, are fabulous. Some are, average, and so I just didn't include those in the book. But anyway, that's kind of how it went. It went on for 3 years, and by the end of 2 years, I had written 10 chapters. By the end of 2 years, 6 months, I had written 10 chapters. I wrote 33 chapters in the last 6 months. So I had all the interviews complete. I had to go back and do some of those again because some things had changed. And anyway, it was a great trip. I have a background in journalism, so I've been writing for 30 years for various magazines, newspapers, and things like that. And so this is my first of 4 books.
Awesome. And it reads like a story. Very nice. So this is the first out of 4. So we're doing what regions of how are we splitting that up?
So what's going on next? I had planned actually to do the next book was supposed to be craft beer country in search of the best breweries from the Rocky Mountains to the Southwest. And I actually have some of those interviews done, and I will be working on them. But I've basically been persuaded to do the East Coast book next. So I'm doing craft beer country, the best breweries from the Northeast to the Caribbean. So I need help. I need help from people to find a brewery on an island somewhere in the Caribbean worthy of writing about. And that could be my biggest challenge.
What? So do cruises count? Because you know Carnival has a cruise with a brewery on it. You know that?
That could help me explore. That's a good idea, actually. I know my wife would love that, Greg.
I'm gonna send you that link. One of my dad blogger friends went on the boat and did a review, so I'll send that to you.
Oh, how cool! Yeah, I want to check it out. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So we got 4 books. So we did West. We're doing the coast first, and then we're gonna get in. You got a Midwest one, and then you got a mountain one, and they're all ready to, or not ready to go, but that's the
all the covers are designed. All the covers are designed, and I've interviewed Dogfish Head back in Rehoboth in Delaware for the next book. So that one's done. But I've got a lot more to do on that particular book. The Midwest one is still formulating my mind, but the title is Craft Beer Country in Search of the Best Breweries from the Midwest to the Deep South. And so I've got a lot of work to do on that one. I think it's going to be a lot quicker than 3 years. The first of anything, takes a lot of time, and the fact that I wrote 23 chapters in 6 months on this last one, I just needed to kick my own ass and get going on it and finish it. Everybody's like, when are you going to finish this book? So it was either do that or lose all my credibility. I wasn't going to be able to. Yeah, that's right.
So then 3 years for the first book. We're looking to, but this is going to be like, you walked into this thinking and doing, a bunch of books. So we're talking about a decade-long job here, aren't we?
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. My goal was super aggressive in thinking that I was going to get my next one done by October 2020. I think it's going to slip into May of 2021, and then I'll be working on the others simultaneously because I've got the formula down now and what I want, and I got the team in place. So this should come a little quicker, but you're right. I think overall it's going to be a decade to 12 years to write them, and then I'm going to have to go to Europe and work on a book over there. So,
yes, sir. And you're going to look me up too, because look me up for that because I need to go to Europe too for beer studies. I'm trying to hit Prague, London, Ireland, all that stuff. So
I'm going to Oktoberfest this year. You should come over.
Oh, you go! Oh man. Oh.
But I'll go back. I'll be going back again. Yeah, we're gonna see.
Yeah, and then you have a couple anecdotes about Oktoberfest to the book, especially in the chapter about Klint Sheets. Yeah. But it started that chapter, your experiences there and stuff. So so then after, when will we start our East Coast trip?
When will we start what?
Our East Coast trip. When are you going to get on the East Coast and start hitting those breweries?
Oh, right. So I'm actually headed back there this summer in late July. I'm going to be in New England, and I'm staying up there in New Hampshire, and I plan on going to Treehouse, of course, in Massachusetts. I'm going to go up into Vermont. What's that? Oh, yeah, Trillium. Trillium is a must, yeah. And I'll go up to Allagash. I think I'm going to go over to Omegang in upstate New York.
Omegang, you got to get there. Yep.
And then up in in Vermont. There's a couple I want to see. One is Farmhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the one up in North Vermont that makes Petty Topper? Is that Alchemist?
Yes,
Or,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
So,
all right, your list is tight, man. Your list is tight. I'll be able to help you though here in Madison for sure, especially with the smaller ones. I mean, I know you know New Glarus, and you're probably gonna hit Ale Asylum. You're probably gonna hit Central Waters, and but there's a couple small ones that I think that you can get a really good story out of. So we'll be talking. I know you're gonna hit Lakefront. So yeah, it's all good.
Hey, you and your dad are going to be in that book. You guys are going out drinking with me. I'm going to write you guys into it.
I hope, man, because Madison's a great city, and I'll be able to at least respectfully pare them down to the ones that that'll give you some uniqueness. Because they're popping up everywhere. There's 5,000, as you know. I mean, I don't know how you're doing this with 1,000 more added every year. My head would explode if I were you. And I love to travel, and I love beer, and I love all these things. So your project really hit home for me because it was something like, man, he's doing what I want to do. Like I want to write about beer and travel about beer. I don't know if you're familiar with Owen too. He comes to be he's from
Atlanta.
I can't remember his last name, but he's from Atlanta.
Ogletree.
Yes, thank you. And he's another one that I met at BBC, and I'm like, wow, you're doing what I want to do, which is, taking people over to Europe, there. So I'm have to give them, when you talk about Atlanta, but you jumped off with me as someone that, again, doing what had my idea. What did they say? Like, you need to check if somebody has your idea because everybody, you know what I mean? Like, your idea is probably not the first time that someone's heard this, but you are absolutely doing God's beer work here. And it's true, man. And I really love it. It brings a lot of perspective, and it shows people, it brings a lot of these places to your house. That's what I like about it. What have you what kind of enrichment have you gotten out of this project already?
Oh my God, it's been an amazing journey. Meeting guys like you at the Beer Bloggers and Writers Conference, making new friends, and I'm sure it's almost become a cliche now, but you hear it a lot of different places. Beer brings people together, and it's been amazing. So, I mean, the friendships and then watching people at these places engage in conversation again, actually getting people together and talking and laughing. But it's really been an eye-opener that way. I never really expected to see that. You go to restaurants these days, and it's not uncommon to see everybody at the table on their phone and nobody talking. But you go to a place like this, today people are here this afternoon, hanging out, talking. I went to Boise Brewing in Idaho. They take the phones there on Mondays, and they put them in a little packet, and you pick them up after you leave, and they give you either half off or a free first pint or something like that.
Love that. Right. Well, and Kirk, really though, truth be told, because this will come out, next week, so I can talk about, it's going to be an evergreen video, but I can talk about this. But truth be told, it's not just phones. I'm not trying to talk politics, but it's so divided. Like, people can't talk to each other normally like when we grew up, and people can't. I believe that beer is that gateway where, like, I can just sit down and me and you can talk. We don't talk about politics. We don't talk about what separates us. We can talk about beer, and we can talk about friendship and family and all that things that that beer brings us. I refuse to. I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but I refuse to have beer as one of those separating things. It needs to be something where it brings us together.
I love it. Yeah, and that's so true. And you see that. You really see it. I was at the brewery in L.A. and I got there and pulled up, and I grew up in Hispanic community in Southern California, and I grew up, half the town was Hispanic, half the town was white. It was a real mix. And when I pulled up to the brewery, there was a lowrider parked out front, and I just smiled, And I walked inside, and it was a melting pot, and everybody was talking. It was a beautiful thing to see. You know, they weren't talking politics and stuff because everybody has different politics. They weren't talking religion. I mean, they were talking about beer and having a good time and laughing. And it was every race in there, every gender, you know, probably some, you know, who knows, you know, it was just a mix of people, and it was a wonderful thing to see. And I see a lot of that, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I can't say about
save us.
Right, and I can't say enough about, and you do too, apparently, because I read, which is go to a lot of breweries by yourself. And you know, I roll into a lot of breweries, and you know, again, I just go to breweries because of beer. I don't care if there's black people, white people. I really don't care.
Who cares? Yeah.
But I go in and I sit down and I look straight ahead and I get beers, and it doesn't take long for someone to say, "Hey, what are you drinking?" Or "Hey, what do you like?" Or you know, "You're new. It looks like you're a tourist." Or it's like even in beer places, I feel more welcome than anywhere else. And I just feel that people are just like, "Let's just have some beer and let's be cool." So you felt that during your whole experience, at least on the West Coast?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that's what I see on the East Coast, but on the West Coast, it was very much that way. And actually, that continued on at the conference that I met you at. I met a friend, and he's starting a business down in Southern California called Tacos, which is T.A.C.O.
Yeah.
You probably met him, Steve.
Him and his wife?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you know, that's what I've seen out here. People just getting together and having a good time and forgetting about all the bullshit out there and having a good time together. I mean,
for sure. And I want to put that in your head, because when you do the next one, I need to come back and we can talk about that. But also, I want to put that in your head because I want you to ask. I want to be able to ask you, do you see any cultural differences, even with the beer from the West Coast to the East Coast? Because we know that there's style differences. On the West Coast, we got the West Coast IPAs, Northeast IPAs, tiny, green, earthy, goodness. And on the West, you know, or I'm sorry, on the East side, we got nothing but New Englands. So juicy and big and all that wonderfulness. So it's going to be interesting for me to talk to you when you come back and you write this next book, because I think it would be slightly different if you went from the west, the mountain. You know what I mean? You're going from west. So I think it's going to be kind of a drastic thing, even with the time. I mean, even with you know what I mean?
I think you're right. I'm excited about that. Out here, of course, you know, I went down to Russian River and had Pliny the Younger, and you know, super hoppy, bitter hops, that sort of thing. But they also have sours. I went down to Firestone Walker and had some wonderful beer down there. I actually, believe it or not, like their mellow 805, which is pretty popular down there, and I like the Velvet Merlin, which is a great dark beer. And then, you know, up in my one brewery in Canada on this trip was Strange Fellows, and Ian Hill, who is the master brewer up there, is truly a master of sour beers, and he makes an incredible wood brewing. So all this stuff, and there's so many like this out here on the West Coast that I'm super excited about checking out the rest of the country. In your region there in Wisconsin, I know there's going to be a ton of surprises for me. You know, and I'm also looking for hidden gems, because I don't want to just go to all the breweries that everybody has heard of, Dogfish Head, and a lot of people have heard of Heady Topper and Alchemist and breweries like that. But I want to find some surprises, like this one right here, like Three Sheets and Island Brewing in Carpinteria, California was a surprise. And Strange Fellows up in Vancouver, BC was a surprise. So I'm hoping that guys like you who are out there, journalists in that area, can help me out, and
No worries.
folks who are listening to the video cast or the podcast have ideas, and I'm willing to try just about anything. So,
Well, no worries. No worries on that. I definitely you already got I got your back on this one. I already know some of them I'm going to give you. So I think I don't know. I could be wrong. I think I've covered everything. Is there anything else you want to get out about this book? And also tell people to find the book.
Yeah. It's so actually I'm headed up to Barnes and Noble in Olympia, Washington next week. That doesn't help you out, but it is available at independent booksellers. Strangely enough, my #1 selling area in the country is Chicago. I'm in Oregon.
Okay.
I got more book sales on Amazon in Chicago than anywhere else by a long shot. So I don't know what's going on, but it's available on Amazon in a hardback format. It's also available on Kindle, so you can order it on Kindle. And it's available at independent booksellers. And you know what? If you might even check with your local libraries, because libraries are picking it up too. So
yeah, and I'll be full disclosure. Beer books are like beer glass in my house, so it's kind of an iffy thing. So once I read it, I might donate it to the library.
Good.
That's how I get rid of my beer books, because if not, my house will be full of beer books. Oh my God.
Like my house.
Beer glasses and books.
It's like my house.
Right. So, but I feel that that's a good way to pass on the knowledge. You know what I mean? So that's how.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and I'll have a new one for you at the rate you're reading that thing. I'll have the other one done by the time you're done with it, because you've got so many things going on.
I'm trying to do all these shows, so I'm trying to get through a whole bunch of books too. But for sure. So, what is your website?
Website is craftbeerbooks.com, and that's my publisher, Mascot Books.
Okay.
So someone can actually check it out there. My blog's there. My blog kind of sucks at this point. It's not. I do a lot on social media. I have a Craft Beer Books page on Facebook. And yeah.
Okay. Well, I tried to tag you on my page, and I could only tag your name, but I couldn't find your book. But you're gonna send it to me. I'm gonna make sure I got that.
And so I'm on Instagram.
Okay, Instagram too. So then when this should drop soon after we tape this. We're taping on like a Saturday. This should drop really soon. So when can we expect the next? We got this edition. Give me a ballpark of
May 2021. If I get inspired, I'll get it done by October 2020. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe if I drink a lot of beer. Yeah.
That's a lot of traveling.
Yes, sir.
So, Kirk, I think we covered everything, man. I'm going to let you go and have more porters and have a fantastic time. Looks like the bar's kind of filled there. Yeah, you haven't drank that many. Come on. I got you talking.
I talk too much. That's right. I got you talking too much. I know this is one of your favorites, and I just wanted to show you that the style is still hanging on. Buddy, it's still hanging on. We're hanging on.
Barely. Well, Kirk, I want to thank you again for being my first test puppy on my new show. Daddy Porter does beer reviews. I didn't do so much of a beer review, but actually what I'll probably do is come back once I'm done and do something, and then I could do a full review without you being there and me not being able to say bad things about you.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome, Greg. Hey, man, I'm looking forward to seeing you in June. You better reserve some time for me.
Yeah, I'll be there, man. I still got to get my ticket. Thanks for reminding me. But other than that, I'll be there. I need to find more content creators to work with and collab with like you. So, and also I need, more books to buy, apparently. So I didn't, for the record, I didn't buy this one. Kirk sent me this, and he wanted me to review it. Just for full disclosure, but I'm already halfway through it. It's fantastic. Regardless of whether Kirk sent it to me or not.
It doesn't suck. Good.
No, it doesn't suck. So thanks, Kirk. I'm looking forward to having you back to hear about all your adventures on the East Coast. And we'll talk to you soon, everybody. Hopefully I'll be back soon with another edition of Daddy Porter, the reviews. Cheers.
Cheers.